Our culture will flourish, will thrive from the corpses of war.
Here is the largest oven in Ukraine.
The main condition for visiting the farm is that you have to bring treats, pet, and love the animals.
Such an acoustic system will cost somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000.
So that the thin part is facing up.
They came from Tokyo and New York to see these creatures of ours.
This is Dnipro, a large industrial city with its own character.
But now, a lot of people have come here from temporarily occupied territories and from the frontline areas.
So I became interested in what Dnipro's craft scene looks like now. I'm Yevhen Sinelnikov, and this is Craft Journeys.
I'm Zhenya, and I make craft cheese in a magical green grove. There was such a terrible shack here, I can't even describe it to you. And such a rusty sign, you know, like a horror movie, for sale. I don't know what got into me, but I told my husband, let's call. And he says, okay, just for fun, say $5,000. I call, and the people are moving to Crimea. We buy it. In 2 weeks, we were the owners. We hadn't seen anything. We didn't know anything about this place. There were such thickets, everything was a mess. We didn't even know there was a river there, and we started to put things in order. The first animals were rescued by my husband. He went to a farmer for straw, and there in a hangar, there were sheep chained up. And he said, listen, let's buy them out. I feel so sorry for them. And I was in high heels, like a typical city girl, and I said, I'm clueless about this. I have no idea what to do with them. He said,
We took a sheep.
He says, well, listen, in Europe, they work like lawnmowers, so let's let them graze. We won't be able to mow that much land ourselves anyway. And that's it, but they started multiplying, and we didn't really take that into account. And then our friends in the military started sending us animals from the front lines. The first cow arrived 2 years ago, and the farm will be in May, at the end of May, only 2 years old. But to keep all this livestock, you need some kind of barn. Well, something. We started Googling how to build a proper farm, and the neighbors gave us some advice. 80% of it, I realized today, we did completely wrong, but we chose the right place. We just walked around, watched the wind gusts so it wouldn't blow on the people, and said, right here. And we call the tractor, it starts digging the foundation, and we dig up the foundation of an old Soviet dairy farm, right in the same place.
Wow.
And for us, it's like a sign, you know?
Yeah.
And we built a farm there. We started. How did the tours even begin? We did everything for ourselves. We really love things to look nice. And when we traveled a lot, you know, we always had this thought, why, for example, in Italy, why can it be so beautiful there, and why can't it be like that here? We have such land, such landscapes, such history. And that's it. I left, and I started making things beautiful. And our daughter, she had her kindergarten graduation, and the group said, let's celebrate at your place. You have lots of animals, we'll graze the animals. And they arrived, about 100 people came. And one of the moms was a blogger with 1 million followers. She posted photos online. The next day, people called me and asked, can we come for a tour? I said, what tour? What are you talking about? I go to my husband and say, listen, Tolya, here's the thing, they're offering tours. He says, listen, we've already invested millions here, so why don't we try it? Well, why not? I said, well, if I already have a cow, do you think I can't handle a tour? We just tell people how we live here and how we got ourselves into all of this. Because honestly, we're still in shock about what's happening here.
As I understand it, it's all kind of fate. It just happens on its own, right? And
it's impossible to stop. Well, and then the war begins. And we feel that we have to be here. There's such a strong feeling that everything should be fine here. And it hasn't left us to this day. By the way, from the very first day, we opened the farm for free for 3 months for everyone, so anyone could come for free, pet the animals and walk around. Whenever possible, we gave free tours because we knew people needed a change of scenery since everyone needed to keep their sanity. And I wrote that post just as a soldier arrived. He was called up for service and he has a herd of goats. He said, will you take them? Well, how could we not take them? And he leaves them with us, and those little ones right in the truck in the field, the girls start giving birth there. We were in shock. We had no hay, no feed, so we made a post on Facebook saying, people, we need help. Bring apples if you can. Maybe someone has hay. Just, you know, whatever you can. The next day at 5 a.m., we had a line of people who came with bottles to feed the soldier's baby. Can you imagine that? So actually, this whole place isn't about what we've done or about our great team. It's about what Ukrainians do, because we're building our own little Ukraine here. The number of animals on the farm ranges from 400 to 1,200. It depends, because we're also a transit point for animals. And many people take the animals away. And then either they are transported abroad or to a wild animal rescue center or to other farms.
So these aren't necessarily domestic animals?
No.
Could they be wild animals?
They could be wild.
Deer there, things like that?
With deer, we transferred deer, but with roe deer we have...
So it's really both deer and roe deer, right?
Yes, we have a herd of about 30 roe deer. We release them, they roam freely. We don't have a fence behind the farm. Well, no enclosure, and we never will, because there are a lot of hunters, and they don't have any culture.
Uh-huh.
And we adapt them, they go through a quarantine zone, and then we release them. And when hunting season starts, we have feeders hanging everywhere, and the animals come here. It's much easier to come to an agreement with animals than with people, to be honest with you, and that's the real pleasure. When you go outside and a herd of deer comes to you, or rabbits run up to you, that's cool. We never intended to create a zoo. We don't want that at all. We believe in respecting animals. If you want to see them, you need to come to them with something tasty. The main condition for visiting the farm is that you need to bring treats, pet, and love the animals. And in return, they will do the same. And over there, it's lying, the rocket.
Was it shot down right above you? Wow.
So the story is that we realized the animals would be here for a long time, and we needed to prepare feed and building materials. And you'll laugh. On the second, we brought materials and feed right here to this area and stored them. And on the fourth, a construction crew was supposed to arrive by tender and start the construction. And on the night of the third, a missile was shot down. One part fell on that side, and this part fell right into our animal enclosure. And it crashes, bounces off, and hits these gabions. Made of stone, and the detonator falls off. It doesn't go off, it doesn't explode, but all the rocket fuel leaks out, and everything here burns up. We also had cars parked, and a hatch flew between the cars and landed near the gate. The rocket bounces around the farm and falls into the fields. The next day at noon, when everything was being put out here since September, the land has looked like this. We don't let anyone graze here, because the rocket fuel isn't the nicest thing for the land. And then the side workers come and say, listen, you didn't just get lucky, you got incredibly lucky.
Well, yeah, that's like being born under a lucky star or even in an embroidered shirt.
So, yeah, yes, a month before that, something exploded near our apartment in Dnipro, and we had left that exact spot just 10 minutes earlier. We had just installed windows there, then we come here and something explodes here too. On September 3rd, our cow was injured by shrapnel. They stitched her up right here. Up to 10 animals died. Some people had their sheds hit, and a horse got shrapnel in its eye. And many animals were stressed because it was so loud. There were months when it was extremely loud. But imagine neighbors come to help. They can be different kinds of people. But they come to help and post our card in Telegram channels, and in just 2 days, people raised more than 1 million hryvnias. So what we lost, we got it back, and we stopped building what we had planned. I'll show you now. This will be the first modular farm in Ukraine.
Modular?
Will it be a modern one?
It's extremely modern. I'll show you compared to what we have today. And compared to what it actually should be. This is Bloka, this is Krasunia, this is Chanelka, and over there are the donkeys Masha and Dasha. Oh no, it won't work. Wait, they'll keep yelling until we come over. Here you go.
It's really calling out.
Yes. That's it, from your hand, that's it. Feed him, he can have everything. It turned out that we started practicing animal therapy, pet therapy, and today we are getting certified for this in America. When a person comes and interacts closely with the animals, they get distracted. Today there is garden therapy, pet therapy, nature therapy, and occupational therapy. And all of this works because when we started getting into it, military hospitals, regular hospitals, correctional facilities, prisons, just imagine the number of guys, the inmates, who went through a course of garden therapy. 42% fewer of them returned to prison after being released because it helps put their minds in the right place.
And what is garden therapy?
It's contact, it's working with the garden.
With the garden?
These are tactile plants, sensory ones. It's appreciation and socialization, let's put it that way.
So it turns out that we were going to a cheese factory, but in reality,
Yes. It's actually not so much a cheese factory here, but more of a real rehabilitation center. For animals, for people, for soldiers, and for children.
It's all together here. Here's the point. Our goal is to study history, preserve the strong nerves of Ukrainians, protect animals, produce natural products, and preserve nature. It's all quite simple. The animals graze, they don't stand in stalls. And that's already unusual because in most of the world, animals are kept in stalls. Here, they roam freely. They graze. They eat grass, give milk, and we make cheese. The whey that's left, we use to make brunost and ricotta. The leftover whey is never poured out. That's just impossible. It's collected in canisters and taken back to the rehabilitation center where the animals consume it. They drank all of it, and what's left is a pile of manure. This is black gold. We collect it and take it to a separate area where it will be processed in the future. Right now, it just decomposes. But we have special boxes where we introduce Californian worms that process all of this, and we get the best eco-friendly fertilizer in the world. Biohumus. And we don't sell it yet, the volume isn't enough, because to process it properly, we need about 1 million to 1.5 million classes.
Jen, wait. You wanted a summer house? A simple life? But I see you keep making things more and more complicated. It's not just that you complicate things, but it's one challenge after another and another and another. Where do you get the strength?
And this is a place of strength. It's simple. This is lava rock. It's 3 and 2 billion years old, and here is a layer of earth from 5 centimeters to a meter. Everything else is rocks and greenstone. So our farm and cheese factory are standing on lava. It's 3 and 2 billion years old, and the cheeses are stored in lava, and then tell me that all this happens by chance. And here is the combination of granite. Right here we got the stones from greenstone rock. Look at this unique structure.
Hello, kids.
These are the people who used to come here for tours, and they're helping now.
What are you doing? What are you working on here?
Dirty work. Volunteer work.
But why? Why do you need it? Just to wade through manure, literally.
Good question. Because animals usually deserve help much more than people do. That's why we're here, and not somewhere in another city.
And what do you get out of this yourself?
Satisfaction. Yes, it's probably some inner need to do something useful. To get out of the office, close the laptop, go somewhere and do real work with my hands.
Where are you from?
Dnipro. Yes.
How did you find out?
Oh, through one charity, through another, through a third one.
I first heard about it when a missile hit and they were raising money for help. I came here a few times and then we got a rabbit here, we brought it in. Zhenya also announced that they would be giving out rabbits, so we came and took one for ourselves.
The second one is waiting for you.
The second one is waiting for you, right?
You're ready, I see.
Yes, Zhenya suggested it.
For example, tomorrow morning I'll be taking a dog from Dnipro to Kyiv. Last Sunday I was transporting other animals from Huliapol to Mykolaiv because I want to. Because I want to, you know? So trying to help people, that's a good thing, that's the most important thing. But these little ones, they can't do anything for themselves. That's why they somehow hold a special place in your heart.
I didn't even know that Zeleny High existed until I heard about this farm. I didn't even know that this village was called Zeleny High and not just the farm. It turns out, in my opinion, the whole country should adopt this initiative because I think it's a symbol of how our society is changing. From villages that are declining with voters of not very good parties and alcoholism to people who are doing their own thing. Well, I mean, well, how else? This is a return to our historical continuity, I would say, from the idea that a village is no longer a kolkhoz. That's how it seems to me.
Well said.
A village is not a kolkhoz.
I told you there are cool Ukrainians here. This place is about cool, really cool Ukrainians.
And that's how a community forms. Did you know each other before this? No? So you met today, right?
That's right.
We were brought together by manure.
That's the second cool slogan for today.
All right, friends. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good cleanup. Thank you.
This is the part where you have to do a ton of work.
Is this a stall, right? Or a milking parlor?
This is a stall, yes, so the animals come here in the evening to eat and drink. The cow should always have access to water, with artesian water supplied.
No way. That's awesome.
This is the best view we have, and the cows will have it, and here will be the garden therapy area. Our main goal is not just to make cheese. Of course, it's important for us that it tastes good, that it's great. It's important for us to leave a future behind us. We plant trees, we protect the environment, and to teach others to develop the village as well, because the Ukrainian village is actually really cool. And if the right people learn, then it will be wow for the whole country.
Definitely. Adaptability, creativity, and flexibility are the qualities that are absolutely necessary for a business to survive now during the war. And this applies to both small and large businesses. Even more so for large businesses, because if people's safety, even their lives, depend on your work, then you simply have no chance to stop or spend a long time thinking. For example, Vodafone has a large contact center here in Dnipro, and just for a moment, it's located right next to the airport. So all the employees immediately felt the impact of this full-scale invasion. And just imagine, stopping work is not an option, because that would mean leaving clients without help at a critical moment. And the number of requests increased by 40% in the first days. On the other hand, putting employees at risk is also not an option. So we quickly organized remote workplaces and continued to provide the necessary assistance.
And people reached out with various, often even non-standard requests.
We are Smit and Winken.
And we create kinetic sculptures.
What are kinetic sculptures?
Kinetic sculptures are creative objects that have volume, a certain configuration, and the ability to move.
Movement and light are the life of these stories.
So the light, it has to be there, right?
Yes. Because I thought it was just movement.
This play of light and shadow, it's mesmerizing, it's captivating, it makes you fall in love with it.
That's it, right?
That's it, it's moving. Look, it's a light bulb. It's standing still.
And that's not a light bulb, it's moving back and forth. And that's why this shadow, this light, it changes its position relative to the overall frame. This mechanism that's present here is deliberately placed in the foreground so the viewer can see how all the parts move.
I got carried away.
I was amazed at how it moves, how it shifts, and what effect we achieve because of it.
Well, first of all, it's art. It's inspiration. It's not just a lamp or something like that.
No, don't. There's nothing utilitarian about it.
This is technical art.
Every detail, every component, it has a very thorough finish. And it seems to us that each one is in its proper place. And it has a certain function and a certain logic and a certain artistic effect.
They are located in the MA D Gallery. This is the most famous MAD gallery, which is located in Geneva.
We work with the company Moy, which represents us in the city of Stockholm, and we work with Arson in Ireland, which represents us with their gallery in Milan.
So this is just like...
This is a kind of gallery design, yes.
Yes.
And people told us at MADD Gallery, they specifically came from Tokyo and New York to see these creatures of ours, to make some decisions.
That's a funny way to put it. These creatures, because they really are alive.
Yes, they're creatures. We communicate with them.
You see, they're as tall as a man, and we communicate with them as equals.
Yes, that's correct.
How did that happen? It's very unusual. Just to decide, well, I'll go and do something like that, something world class.
Look, it's a niche thing. And now we've been called, this is a new style called Kinetic Renaissance.
I'm an architect, Valery is a designer. We don't have a specialized technical education.
How many years have you been doing this?
It's the 4th year.
The 4th year?
A little over 3, the 4th year. Yes.
How many of these different kinetic sculptures are there already?
22.
22?
22.
And they're all like this, right?
They're all like this, yes.
There are repeats, there are new works, but every day our lineup of these works expands.
Are there people in Ukraine who do these works?
Yes.
Yes, right? Well, that's cool.
Before the war, it was totally...
We are very grateful for this, very grateful. Because, first of all, they will buy. We have these products. Secondly, they participate in our development, and I'll say it directly, with their money. And they give us the opportunity to continue working on this project. A big thank you to them for that.
As I understand it anyway, it seems to me, I look at you, how you feel about this. This is not a business. This is more about creativity. Or not, am I wrong?
It's both business and creativity in equal proportions. Because business gives you the opportunity to be creative.
And creativity gives you business.
And creativity gives you the desire to continue, to keep going, and to make money from it.
You are now seeing the image of the Gemini spacecraft from 1962.
This is not just a spacecraft. This is a spaceship.
And the continuation of the space theme and this project, it's called Apollo 18. So we know about Apollo 17, but this is Apollo 18.
Birds, rockets, plants, fish, weapons, musical instrument, all of that is here. Everyone sees their own thing in it.
That's a bat, right?
Here's also a bat.
Look, it has eyes.
Eyes.
The muzzle opens with fangs, right? And wings.
Look.
See, we haven't heard anything like that before.
There will also be a bat. Besides firearms, there will also be a bat.
These are your works, right?
Yes.
And which ones are displayed in these galleries?
This one.
This one, that's him.
Wow. It's called Trinax. Now they've made a Trinax club, so...
This is Kabuki. It's in Stockholm. It's been running, not breaking down, for almost 2 years. Why it's working like that, I don't know.
This is also in Stockholm, no?
That's a bumblebee.
He moves his head and ears. Look at him. There was an auction in Milan, and there were two of our sculptures were sold at the auction. These are the ones.
Accepted.
Yes, accepted. These ones.
As a creature like that, it folds into a stick and then opens up like a fan.
Like a flower, right? Like that?
Yes, and that's the same one. This same project is now in Milan.
It's called Tessin, a Japanese war fan. Such a very delicate, almost invisible being. Now it's not there, and now it opens up. It has to be very minimalist.
Yes, because it's very Eastern probably.
It's there, it's not there, it's there, and that's how it is. It all comes from childhood, from within. Impressions from previous works, impressions from the surrounding reality, impressions from society, from the technological achievements of our planet in general. And this gets processed in our minds. Then you pick up a pencil, draw something. Then, as I already said, it goes in the trash. Then you draw again in the trash, and only then a blueprint, which also goes in the trash.
And only then.
And then you take out the trash.
And you're like, wow, why did I throw this away? It works.
Yeah. And then into the trash, and you see that you drew something nice. You look at it back into the trash, and it's this cycle that leads to these results.
How cool is it not to carry a wallet and be able to pay with your phone?
We are the Hoban family, Serhi and Emilia. We make pottery.
How can you call these huge pots just pots? Such sizes, Kavevri, these giant vats.
Well, for us, they're like children, and children are like little pots.
So this is called a pot, right?
Well, that's a flower pot. If you want to be fancy, you call it a flower pot.
How do you make it so big?
Well, we have a few ways of doing it. We either make it or shape it on a potter's wheel if we need a unique shape. And if we need identical ones, we make a model, a mold, and shape them using the mold.
Is this made on a potter's wheel?
No, this particular jug was made using a mold. But larger ones are also made on a potter's wheel. There is a special potter's wheel, and little by little, we add about 20 to 30 centimeters each day.
But yes, I have to add that this is very difficult and skilled work. Only Serhi can do it.
And you know what's funny? There's the largest kiln in Ukraine here. That's why the products are the largest as well.
By the way, this kiln is actually our third one in 30 years of the workshop. I made it specifically so you could walk in here wearing a hat and not bump your head.
Serhi loves hats.
Because the previous kilns were such that you had to bend over a bit. Now you can stand up straight. We load all our pots in here. Then this wall is bricked up every time, and every time it's taken apart and we start the firing. For one firing, that's about 2 days. We burn about 1.5 Kamaz trucks of firewood.
How much?
1.5 Kamaz trucks of firewood.
1.5 Kamaz trucks?
Don't say that, Serhi. People won't understand you in the current situation.
That amount is necessary to get through the whole winter.
Damn.
A lot of energy is needed. In a day, we raise the temperature up to 1200 degrees. And then we hold it for 4 hours at the maximum temperature. And then for another 5 days, the kiln just gradually cools down.
The most difficult part is to raise the temperature very slowly, because if there are any jumps, everything will crack. Well, you understand, there's a whole bunch of pots that were made, dried, brought in, stacked, and if the temperature jumps even a little, everything cracks. And this is also a kind of magic. I mean, when firing, Serhi makes an offering to the kiln so that it will be favorable, so that it works well.
Does a lot get ruined?
Well, usually during firing, a few pots have some defects. It's very important to have an even temperature during firing. When firing with wood, the fire becomes our co-author in the process. That is it. You see, each pot is a little different. One side is scorched, the other is a bit lighter. Sometimes you get effects from wood firing, like an ash glaze appears. That's why these are all very interesting effects. Glazes behave in a fascinating way, specifically in a wood-fired kiln. So it's more artistic, let's put it that way. With gas, it will be just an ordinary gray, white, or yellow color, all the same. But with fire, it's much more interesting.
Damn, well, the stove is just... Well, this is a smart apartment in Kiev, really, not a stove.
With a nice view.
With a nice view, yes. By the way...
No one has ever done an interview in an oven in Ukraine.
By the way, you have a very nice view. Can I have a little tour?
Of course, you're welcome with your views. We are on the edge of the Dovha ravine. It's a landslide zone. You can't build anything very grand or tall here.
Uh-huh.
And you have to pay a lot of attention to water drainage and slope maintenance. That's why we have a lot of terraces planted with vegetation, because not only does it look nice, but it also helps keep the soil from sliding. So in this way, we stabilize the terrain and make sure that nothing slides anywhere.
It's beautiful here. You could even have a wedding.
Yes, we do have weddings here. You can celebrate here weddings, divorces. Why not celebrate everything? Birthdays. Here we have a big gazebo where all kinds of parties and gatherings take place. We hold gatherings for craftsmen, meetings for artists, and meetings with film directors. We've had film premieres here, right in the garden.
By the way, this is a unique place in Dnipro.
It's called Balka-Dova, and there's a river flowing down there. The river is called, it has a very beautiful name, I really like it. It's called Zabokriach.
That's right.
Don't laugh, because frogs croak there and even ducks fly around.
We have pheasants running around here and squirrels too.
But it's a very green area. Unfortunately, it's very cluttered. We used to have a dump here. All this place here 10 years ago, it was like, you can go a little further over there and you'll see what it used to be like.
No need, no need. We'll show how it is now, beautiful.
Well, I mean, we just want to emphasize that every corner of Ukrainian land can be this beautiful. You just need to put in some effort.
Draw your own conclusions. Beautiful. People just made an Instaplace for themselves. This is really awesome. Damn, well done. And the smell.
Oh, hi. Have you been waiting long?
Hi.
Do you remember when you were sculpting?
Good afternoon.
Come on, tell me, when did you do this? Come in, come in. Don't remember? Let's look for it. Okay, let's check the dates.
Ta-da! Is this yours? Yes, then the next one. Wow, this one is even better. They are all very beautiful, congratulations. Yes, and whose masterpiece is this?
So she put a little heart right there, didn't she?
Yeah, Mom. Oh, then we need to give it to Mom. Call her, Mom.
Seriously, congratulations.
Oh, congratulations to you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, and we wish you all the best as well.
Why is it important for children to work with clay? What does it give them?
A child gets something they can use. That's really cool.
If it's a cup, you can drink from it yourself. Yes, if it's a little plate, you can feed your cat or eat something yourself. So these are real things that I think are very necessary and useful. Come in.
This is already the third workshop space. There was one, then another, and now the third.
Yes, we have a lot of spaces. You might be surprised, but this pottery wheel is the strongest and the sturdiest. We can make very large pieces on it. It's very powerful and low, specifically so you can make tall pieces. And by the way, right now...
Ooh, it's still so wet.
Inside, yes, we'll keep building it up like this, and in a few days we'll have a vase like that. We stick it on, mixing this clay with that one. I won't do it right now because we need to wait a little bit. And then we turn on the potter's wheel. And then this clay
along the mold
more evenly, and we shape what we want. So we first put the clay on as a coil, and then on the potter's wheel, we make a more precise shape.
Got it. And where do you get the clay?
Our clay is from Sloviansk.
Is it new clay coming from Sloviansk? Or is it from the old stock?
This is still from the old stock. Before the war, before the active phase, we bought a certain amount, a lot of clay. Now, if we buy it, of course, it's brought from abroad, but we still have some stock left.
And what about Opishnia, that clay over there?
Opishnian clay is more suitable for small works. This is shamot clay. For large works, you need a different kind of clay. That's true. A potter has his own studio. Besides, there are certain types of clay, just like in cooking. You can't make everything from the same ingredients.
You can't make a loaf of bread from puff pastry.
Yeah, something different for each one.
I didn't even know that.
So opishnya pottery is for these small pitchers, right?
For pitchers, for dishes, yes, it can be used, but not for large ones.
Got it. And how much does it cost, if it's not a secret, for example, a vase like this, of this size?
A vase like this, if it's simple, not glazed, costs 10,000 hryvnias. If it's glazed, then it's about 5,000.
I think even like this, it will look better.
Yes, just like in the warehouse. I also really like it when the clay looks just the way it is. And also in wood firing, these are little tables like this, you see? Tables, they can be placed outside. They can stand outside both in winter and in summer.
Is it also just made of clay?
Just a clay table, yes.
And how does this tabletop stay in place?
It's glued very securely. We've been testing this kind of table in our living room for about a year and a half now. Everything is easy to clean. It stands very well. It looks interesting.
And how much does this cost?
This table costs 20,000.
Cool. Well, it looks very unusual. Is it even worth competing with you, or is it hard to succeed?
Well, the craft business in general, I think it's a really great thing because during events like now, the craft business is the most resilient. We see that some big enterprises, some huge factories or shipyards, they have really big problems. But these kinds of craftsmen, they are like the backbone of the nation.
The foundation, yes?
I think this is what survives such turbulent events, and that's very valuable. We do everything to have more competitors. Why? Because when there are more competitors, there are more popular products. And popularity always, and the market always grows faster than the capabilities of our competitors. That is, this is how the market expands. If 25 years ago, convincing someone, for example, a restaurant, to buy our tableware was very difficult, because people used to buy something factory made, usually imported, and thought, why should we buy something of our own? But now, even though there are a lot of potters, it's become easier to find a client because it's become popular. If you're already doing this, if you're good at it, you'll always have a client.
When I saw this thing, I thought I would put this in my place. It's really cool.
Well, yeah, this is our pride. This is a handmade bathtub. It's 1.60 meters in diameter. This is the biggest project we've ever done.
And probably the most expensive one?
And not the most expensive. The most expensive one was recently sold at a charity auction for the armed forces of Ukraine. Our product went for $10,000.
For $10,000?
Yes, that was the most expensive one. And this bathtub costs $3,500.
Well, of course, that's something you'd put in a hotel, right?
In a 5-star hotel?
Something that would grow.
Now, 2 of these tubs are actually in a 5-star hotel in Bukovel. And near Dnipro, there's also a place called Pottery, where there's a tub like this outside next to the sauna, like a plunge tub. So people go out there and plunge into the cold water, both in winter and summer, and it's been standing out in the open air for 8 years now. Some private houses also have our tubs, but we're going to grow water lilies here. You see, they've already started to grow. It's already been here with us for 3 years. We hide these plants in the basement for the winter, then take them out, and they start to grow rapidly. And here in 4 weeks, there will be a little pond with blooming water lilies.
Cool. I'm Alexander Shakirov, a craft poet. What is craft poetry? What does it mean and how does it work? I can show you. We put on gloves, you can touch it, magnetic lock, we open it, and these are literally transparent poems. Each one is laser cut, an independent flash of realization of meaning, energy for action, resistance, protests. God bruised the universe from his son, who was his father. The process is relentless. This is now the theory of the being of the universe. That's what I just described. I wrote this poem while watching a British science documentary about the multiverse theory. And there's a theory now called the end of greatness. The collection consists of 20 poems. This is already the second edition, the ultimate publication. The first one had half as many poems, and the box was handmade by me. It was completely bought out into a private collection abroad. And with the money I earned, I immediately quit the bank and started living the life of my dreams. I quit drinking, smoking, and using any prohibited substances at all. It was so inspiring, first of all, to quit a toxic job, and secondly, to earn money doing that.
What'd you like?
With art. And here, artists, especially poets, are very mythologized people who don't understand that it's constant work, that there has to be some kind of inspiration. I didn't really want to be a youth hero, but I have to. Who else if not me? The attack of the iron swifts through the enfilades of horror. My cross has tilted, waiting for its time. Our culture will flourish, thriving with the pods of war. Little iron birds, holy citizens of the earth.
Where are we?
We are in the art alley. This is a place that connects two worlds. If you go higher up, there will be the Trinity Church. And this is the heroes of Maidan Square.
So right in the center?
This opening took place during the full-scale war on City Day. And this alley has a practical purpose. Not only to introduce locals and city guests to the artists involved to hear poetry. Here, every last Sunday of the month, we hold micro-exhibitions of paintings and poetry readings. This is already the second season. Now it's the season of Ukrainian classics, and we choose the most unknown classics, discovering them both for ourselves and for the public.
So, shall we take a walk? Will you show me?
Yes, let me show you everything and tell you about it. First of all, this is a large mural, a big work by the Kharkiv artist Nina Yozik. This is Marefa, the Kherson Bridge. It leads right there towards Crimea. And this is how she...
Yes, the train is in Ukrainian colors.
A prediction that there will be unity with Crimea.
And this is Monastyrsky Island, right?
Monastyrsky Island, that's right. The bridge over Monastyrsky Island. And right behind it is the Merefo-Khersonsky Bridge, completely covered in hedgehogs. Why is it called the Dnipro hedgehog? Because the first murals they saw were by our local street artist who paints hedgehogs almost everywhere. Why exactly hedgehogs? Nobody knows because his identity is unknown. This is a children's hospital and it has these frogs on it.
So this is an alley where you come and see what's happening in Dnipro in terms of culture, creativity, and art. So you come here and get acquainted.
Poems. Of course, a reproduction of Serhiy Burbelo. Our outstanding Dmytro Yavornitsky.
Oh my, sorry. The one whose name must not be mentioned.
Voldemort, yes. Asshole and propagandists behind bars.
Cool.
The scum has blood on their hands. Another work by Serhiy Burbelo. Serhiy Burbelo, he's an artist prophet. He was the first to paint the damaged cruiser Moskva, which, by the way, they raffled off at a charity auction and sold to buy a car for the brigade in the Bakhmut direction. Then he painted the damaged Crimean bridge. It was burning and everything was happening. He painted first and then it happened. He painted and it happened.
So it's like a direct message to the universe.
Yeah, haha. Universal, to help rid the world of the uthole and the tyranny of racism as soon as possible.
I can't explain it. It just comes to my mind on its own, that's all. I started this painting in the summer, 5 months before, and then in October it hit. Moreover, if you look at the photo, even if...
Did it hit right where it's burning?
No, it hit a little here. I didn't quite get this right. But if you look at the smoke, I managed to get it exactly right. Even the smoke matches. And this is an explosion in Sevastopol Bay. If you remember, this was also the first attack by our naval drones. I also painted this picture in 2 months. And then you can even guess the number of ships that were damaged. So here they already call me a prophet artist. I say, of course, it would have been better if this hadn't happened, but that's how it is. So I keep creating.
It needs to be emphasized. Did you find it? The heel of the grass? The meaning of existence? The clitoris? A grant? A publisher?
The right words of support. Did you find them? You did. Address yourself as you. After reaching enlightenment, keep carrying water from the well and chopping wood. No one will believe you anyway. The emptiness is the same for everyone.
Cool, thanks.
All right, you just keep saying art, art, blah, 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 and there goes the person.
What does this alley mean to him?
What does it give him? A person who's rushing somewhere to work?
You haven't seen this alley, by the way. I'm actually the creator of this alley, basically. It was a cluttered place. There was a chicken coop here that blocked the passage. The offices that were being renovated, they dumped all the construction materials here. And it was simply impossible to get through here. Everything was cluttered and piled up. And I decided, why not do it, combine it? First of all, a pedestrian street is great for people, and the rest as well. They will walk and see some gray walls. What's the point of that? We need to fill it with something. Really, Sashko is right. Modern art is a great example. Even that Bilbao, where they built the Guggenheim Center, and everything there just increased, everything. The flow of tourists, cafes around, well, in short, all of this really adds up.
That's development. Whoever possesses art, art in the background, educates the nation, educates the community.
I'm Svetlana Novikova, and I make marshmallow bouquets.
Maybe I'll learn and make my wife happy. Or is it not easy? Well, you'll try it now, right? Uh-huh.
And then at the end, you'll tell me how it went. Today we're going to make pure apple. We really need to maintain the temperature. That's what all pastry is about, precise measurements and temperature.
Have you ever worked with pastries like this or done it professionally?
Well, I have loved marshmallows since I was a child, and I was always very interested. I saw an ad for bouquets made out of, well, marshmallows, and I got curious about how it's done. Not only are they tasty, I love marshmallows among desserts, but it's also really interesting. And that's it. I started telling my son that I wanted to take such a course. He said, "Mom, those are scammers on the internet." I said, "Well, no, they don't really seem like it." As for baking, I just did it at home, baking cakes, and that's it. But when it comes to making marshmallows, when I do that, I get so into the creativity that I can go until 2 in the morning. I come home from work and I already have some bouquet idea in my head. That's it. Then I can't sleep. I wake up thinking about how to make it look good, how to make it tasty. Well, that's how it is, something like that. Well, I've been making marshmallows here for about a year, maybe a year and a half. That's it. So what is it like? How is it?
We moved. I'm also from Mariupol, so we moved, and there was a period here when I didn't have anything to work with. You have to get everything, buy everything, and it's all just too expensive.
And when you leave with nothing, it's hard.
Well, yes, there are things that are more necessary than a mixer.
Well, here, basically, while we settled down, well, we bought it.
So what about it? Can you say that now, that it brings in money like a business?
Oh, yeah.
It's really...
Yes, it's a normal business. It's just that it's hard for me to do this in Dnipro. It's a foreign city. I don't know anyone here. For now, it's just advertising, just word of mouth. But still, yes, I do have some orders.
And how did you decide to turn this into a craft, into a way to earn money? I understand it was interesting to try for yourself, but to actually start doing it as work.
I bring it to work. Everyone tries it. I'm the kind of woman who quickly posts everything on social media, writes nicely about how smart and talented I am, about what I can do.
Well, that's it. And people started placing orders saying, we want it too.
Yes, and that's how it all started. Why not? That was still in Mariupol. When I came here, before I bought a car, there were no attachments. We were just making marshmallows, making little circles.
Uh-huh.
I bought a course from our pastry chef for the flavors, so that the marshmallow wouldn't just be apple or berry, but things like tomatoes, melons, watermelons. We even made some with pepper and cheese. With cheese? Marshmallow with cheese? I'll finish it, I'll finish it, I'll finish the pear. Very tasty. So while I didn't have anything to make flowers with, I think I'll start with the simplest one. I'll go through the flavors. So I'm here, and then after a while, I bought all the nozzles.
Uh-huh.
And I just kept going, kept going.
So you could say, that's already like the next level, right? It was beautiful. And now it will be both beautiful and delicious? Yes, yes.
So here I can already play around with the flavors, so to speak.
Well, as I understand it, you can let them set and then eat them.
Yes.
Usually for everyone, this is where it ends. That is, it will already dry out, harden, and that's already marshmallow.
Well, yes. Zhenya, it's all simple here.
Press her, go ahead, and don't mess it up.
Let me put some oil on. Okay.
Under the fluff.
So that the thin thing is facing up.
Up, yeah. Wow.
We need to, the reason we pipe it right away is because the marshmallow will start to cool down and it forms a sort of film on top, and then nothing else will stick to it. Here's a flower like this.
Beautiful.
And you have a little tulip like this, one stroke, and bring it here. Oh, just closer. Lower it down. Great, but did you see that gap? You need to lift it up and then lower it down.
Uh-huh.
Well, you should have scrolled it.
Oh, that's quite a rose.
Where?
You said to scroll? Well, yes, something like that. Yeah.
Try it.
Can you put them side by side? I want to compare.
Here, you can...
Just put them side by side.
Wait! Let me paint it again.
Okay.
I'm not showing what Zhenya is doing yet. How is he doing?
Well, how can I put it? He's doing about average, maybe a C at best.
So now we have to guess which one belongs to whom, right?
All right, now let's take the yellow one. A little bit of red inside.
Well, your flower is kind of...
Oh!
That's because you're throwing it like a little airplane. You need to do it like this. Here.
Yeah.
Here.
Dima, please don't film from that side.
Understood.
God, this is so meditative. It's actually such a pleasure, just sitting and doing it. And when it turns out so beautiful...
Well, it turns out beautifully.
Very nice. I would buy flowers like these.
Well done. The first time is hard, but once you get the hang of it, it starts to work out.
Oh, see how beautiful it is.
Well, this one seems to me the most...
The most?
This one, especially from this side, this is... We can put some here too, right?
No, well, there aren't any like that on the narcissus.
And who said this is a narcissus?
Oh, well, if that's the case.
Maybe it's...
Gladiolus, thank you. Gladiolus?
Very far. Actually, you need marshmallows so that it...
So that it sits for a while, right? For some time.
Yes. Well, you see, it's still... I cut it and it's still moist. The knife should be dry.
Well, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Very beautiful, Zhenya.
This is a masterpiece. A masterpiece of marshmallow art.
It looks like a model of some church.
Is this marshmallow too?
Yes.
The first time I brought these dumplings to work, I made them one by one just because I was curious, and then I brought them to the girls, and it happened that the manager came out, and the girls all shared them, and they put these 2 dumplings on a napkin for him. There was one with a nut and one with a cherry. You know, when he came in, when he said, "Oh, are you all really treating me like this?" I already had breakfast at home. Well, no one expected that. He actually got offended that the dumplings were just put on a napkin like that, Uria. Oh, and the girls told him that it's just...
Try it.
These are candies. They're really tasty.
This is what we're going to get now.
Well, let's try. Yes, we're going to do something like that. You see, in order to put this together, you probably need to have an idea of what you're going to end up with.
Uh-huh.
Almost beautiful. Of course, it could be better if it wasn't so fast.
As for me, it's very beautiful.
Well, as for very, of course.
Not very? It could be better, right?
Of course.
I'm Stas and I make custom acoustic systems.
How can you make a custom acoustic system?
To compete with Samsung, with the Chinese ones, with everyone, it's impossible. When they can optimize their production and make speakers for $100 or $200.
All right, what do you have to offer?
I'll take...
By making more high-end acoustic systems. When the older guys are already charging tens of thousands for their work, I can make a bit of a margin. When an acoustic system costs 100,000, I can make it much cheaper.
100? $100,000?
Dollars?
$100,000?
Acoustics of this kind, when it has a name, when it's well known, it costs 50, 100.
I have speakers, I understand volumes. Sometimes I know what a subwoofer is, so it sounds good. What's the difference between top-notch, high-quality ones? Do they really sound so amazing that you just go, wow?
Yeah, the thing is, if you get sound for $1,000, it's already gonna be great. If you get it for $2,000, it's going to be noticeably better. But the further we go, the bigger the price gaps will be, with smaller gaps in quality differences. So when we move into that category, that's when those kinds of numbers come up. But there really are a lot of small differences that you can't get for a little money.
That's it, right?
The category of this kind of acoustic system, I haven't calculated exactly right now because this is a prototype I'm currently working on. It's just that, considering I've been working with it for a long time, I made it look presentable since I have to live with it.
It looks cool.
Yes, it will still be improved and repainted. I'm setting up the sound, the concept, and so on. Such an acoustic system will cost from $10,000 to $15,000.
Is it the wood or the speaker itself, or is it the geometry that matters here? How do you make sound?
Everything matters. In sound, everything matters. These speakers use handmade drivers. These drivers are made in Lviv. That means even the drivers that are in the horn, even the baskets were specially cast there. And the diaphragm, that white thing on top. It's made from special Japanese mulberry paper, which is made from the bark of the shoku tree. It's shaped by hand. It doesn't exist. The coil is made. Vintage Alnico speakers are used, but these aren't speakers, they're magnets. So, those classic black magnets we're used to, like those discs, aren't used here. Here, they're more vintage. Alnico is used here. It has its own advantages and disadvantages. For mass production, let's say, they were kind of cancelled. But for things like this, cool stuff.
This isn't a very flashy model, but the person wanted exactly this one. So here we can see how the magnets differ. These are completely different types. These days, if you hit this magnet hard, it will lose its properties. Over time, in about 20 or 30 years, it will also lose its properties. That's why they stopped using it. But it has other qualities that are great for sound. It has a softer magnetic field.
Listen, did you work with this? You're talking about it so professionally. This is electrodynamics. What did you study?
Physicist, radio electronics specialist.
Got it, yeah.
I'm not much of a physicist. I had to relearn all of this, but I already had a background from university. And yeah, I started doing this in 2020 during coronavirus disease. It all started when I decided that I was done. I wouldn't build anything myself anymore. After I built a car for myself, I kept going to stores, bothering everyone, not buying anything, just walking around, listening, and realizing that for the money I could spend, I couldn't really buy anything decent. And one not so friendly store clerk told me, well man, if you can't buy it, build it yourself. That's when a light bulb went off over my head and I thought, well, here we go. And these are my first speakers. There's nothing here. Usually it's a box with tubes, but this enclosure is made entirely of a kind of maze with a speaker inside. Part of the maze goes here and part of the maze comes out here.
Listen, so you didn't find what you needed. Did I get that right? You didn't find the sound you wanted.
For the money I had?
And you decided to make it yourself. And off it went.
Yes, and along the way I gained the experience and knowledge that now allow me to make acoustic systems. But along that path, every time I think, oh, I know everything, I already know it all, I can do anything. And every time again I'm like, I don't know anything. And once again I gain something new knowledge, I absorb it and move forward. This is quite a topic. The thing is, there's information on the internet. But when someone gets something really interesting and necessary for them, they stop sharing it. So do I.
So you don't share secrets?
This is very valuable information. It takes a lot of time for learning, for experiments, and so on.
Who was the first client? They come to you. How do you prove that yours will sound good? How does that work?
The first acoustic system I made wasn't for myself. I made it for my friend Markita. It was his birthday and I really wanted to build something. I said, Markita, I don't know how, but I'll make you speakers. In the end, we agreed. Yeah, I found some cheap components and they were just offering me. So there were speakers in super great condition and for a very low price. And at that time, for 5,000 hryvnias, I collected speakers, parts, everything. I made him the speakers.
As a gift?
Well, sort of as a gift. He gave me money, I made them. I wouldn't say it was unexpected. I was making them, he knew what I was doing. It was after the birthday, I finished them. And this is the acoustic system I made for the Spalak bar. I wasn't making it for the bar, it's just that while I was making it, he decided to open it. And they're there, surprising everyone with the fact that they actually managed to handle all of it. And now I'm making a new one for Spalak. This is the second model of Spalak. They'll also be red, but they'll pack such a punch that...
So, they're not that powerful now, but the new ones will be even stronger.
They're 20 times louder at the same power. When I was finishing that project, a friend from our group approached me and said he wanted something. I'm finishing it up, come over and listen. If you like it, you can order one. If you don't like it, well... And he came, listened and said, okay, let's do it. Another man came who, he saw me on OLX, I was posting my speakers there. Well, so that more people would know about me, ads, videos and so on. He also came, listened and didn't say anything. The next day he called me and said, "My visit to you is bothering me. Can you calculate for me what will happen?" And I already made him such a big acoustic system from a 12-inch one. It's 12 inches, but it's a little smaller than usual. He's really into gigantomania. He made such a huge thing. By the way, this acoustic system is now in Vienna.
Cool.
You had to transport it. I can't imagine how it all went. Just loading the car to take those speakers there.
Can we listen?
Yes, of course. Just a few words about why it looks like this and something like that. This is a megaphone. This is also a megaphone, just a small one. A megaphone is a matcher, a radiation matcher. But you can also think of it as a lens when the light doesn't shine in all directions.
And now it is concentrated.
It's probably focused. The thing is, in such a small room, I think it's appropriate to use these speakers because we'll have less reflection from the walls, from the ceiling. And we hear more of the direct sound. Also, I think this suits modern people, young people, because they're used to headphones. The sound is as pure as possible, without reflections, although there's a saying that acoustics should play in all directions, but that's technology from the 50s and 60s. This acoustic system can work with a very weak amplifier, just 1 or 2 watts, if anyone understands. That is, they have very high sensitivity. 1 unit of power produces a lot of volume.
Well, it's like a whole palette of sounds.
Well, that's the point. Audio recordings carry a very wide range of volumes. I mean, we're used to something being twice as loud, something else being louder, and we have no idea how wide the range actually is. So literally, even a small tick could mean it's from 1 watt to 100 or even 1,000 times louder. It can be behind the speakers or in the middle. This is called the phantom center.
The link will be in the description.
If you have a passion for great sound, if you have 10, 15...
It doesn't have to be 10 or 15, but it's impossible to compete with the mass market for $1,000 or $2. It's more reasonable to make it more expensive, starting from 5.
Well, that's Dnipro's craft for you, and we'll see you next time.